Dear learners, I think today is the third session. I hope you are all enjoying the previous two sessions. And the previous two sessions recordings already uploaded in our RC Visakhapatnam YouTube channel. You can subscribe and refer the same for your studies. Okay, now I request Dr. Anjana, academic counselor. Please take the session. Please go ahead, madam.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Welcome back, students. Today we will start with listening. So, are you able to see the screen? Are you able to see the slide of listening? Anyone? Can you please let me know if you are able to view the slide? Is the slide visible?
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Okay. So,
Oh, ma'am, వినపట్లేదు.
oh, are you not? Am I not audible? One
Yes, ma'am.
Um, my microphone is on. Just check your and the volume is also maximum. Just check from your end. Are you not able to hear at all? What about others? Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, audible.
Okay, so in that case,
Madam, you are very much audible. Please
okay,
go ahead.
okay, so in that case, maybe yours is the problem. Okay, so listening, as you can see here, it says that listening is the act of paying attention to sounds and trying to understand what they mean. So, in listening, we actively pay attention to whatever sound is coming around us and we try to understand what that means. So, in the sense, we receive the signals or the messages, we try to interpret those messages, we try to evaluate and understand, and then we respond to those messages. So, in listening, we are actively involved to whatever sound is coming around us. Now, how is then listening different from hearing? So, I'll give you a simple example to differentiate listening from hearing. When we are in, the say the railway station, we hear we hear a lot of sounds. Okay, sounds like some people walking around, some people talking, the trains approaching with the sound. Then there is some announcements going on. Then there are like birds chirping, there are crows cawing, then there are so many thelawalas, the chai people, who will be yelling that chai or breakfast, whatever, so you will be hearing so many sounds. So hearing in the sense, you are just getting some sounds, but you are not actively listening to it. You are hearing because your ears are good and your eardrums are getting the sound waves and you are able to hear. That's it. But you are not paying any attention to it. So it's a passive kind of process. So all these kind of sounds that you hear in the railway station are these are the sounds which you hear in the railway station. But the moment an announcement is made, you start actively listening to it, right? So you pay attention to that announcement. That is listening. So all the other sounds that you heard, even if you go to an airport, right? If you go to an airport, there are so many people walking around, they are talking, but you are not listening to them what they are talking. You are only hearing. What does that mean? Some sound that they are something talking, but you are not bothered to listen what they are talking. Or some people, as I said, some people selling some items. So all those are the sounds which you keep hearing, because our human body, we have ears, and when the sound waves enter into the ear, you tend to hear some sound waves. But that is a passive process. Hearing is a passive process. But the moment an announcement is made, you become active and you start listening to what announcement is being made. That listening to that announcement is what you hear to that announcement is listening, because you are actively involved in listening to it, because you need that information, right? You are trying to understand what the announcement is being made about. So that is the difference between hearing and listening. So in hearing, it's a passive process, and listening is an active process, and you pay attention to whatever is being said when it comes to listening. But it's, you don't pay attention to whatever sounds you hear in case of hearing. Okay. Now there are different types of listening. You might find different words in different books, and you might have many more different types of listening also. So as you read more and more, you will see different books giving different types of listening. So I have gathered some type of listening over here. So discriminative listening. Discriminative listening is a kind of listening where a person discriminates the different types of sounds coming to the person. That means here the person is not trying to understand, or is not trying to, listen in detail what that sound is about, but he hears some sound and he's trying to discriminate those sounds. For example, some child crying, or somebody yelling from outside, or somebody, doing some carpentry work. You are able to hear those sounds. So all these different types of sounds which you hear, and you are able to discriminate those sounds, that is called as the discriminative type of listening. Then you have comprehensive listening. Comprehensive listening is one where a person tries to listen in detail and try to comprehend. That means try to understand what is being said. For example, take this class. Okay, this class is a comprehensive. In case if you are really listening, this will be a comprehensive listening where you are trying to understand in detail and trying to understand what is being said. So you trying to understand some information that is being given to you. Okay, that is comprehensive. Then what is informational? Informational is also a type of comprehensive, but here it is little bit narrow in the sense. In informational, you actively try to get some information that you need, and usually that information is a new information which you are not aware of and which you need. So some information, for example, I want to learn about, I want to learn about, say about, the new kind of technology that has come. Maybe I want to learn about, the how what is this AI, and because I'm a non-technical background person, so I want to learn, or I want to get an information of what is this AI after all about. So I will try to listen if there is some class going on, or some, uh, you know, there is some audio available, or I want to listen to this information on AI, and I'm trying to get some new information on that because I want that information. So that is an informational listening. Okay. If I am, if I'm trying to understand that AI in very detail, and I want to like get a complete information on that, what is AI, how is it playing its role in management or in different fields of management and IT, or in the medical line, whatever it is, so that will become a comprehensive listening. Okay. Then you have a critical listening as well. So this critical listening is a kind of judgmental listening, in the sense, if you have to make some decision based upon the information you get, then for that, whatever kind of information that you try to listen, that kind of listening is called critical listening. So when you get an information and try to listen to that information, because based upon that information, you are going to make a judgment, you are going to make a decision, because you are going to evaluate. So basically, you are going to evaluate that information, and based upon that evaluation, you are going to make a judgment or going to make a decision. Then that type of listening is called as critical listening. The best example is, suppose I want to buy a washing machine. Okay, so I go to I go to the showroom, and there I, ask, whether I ask, or the salesperson, he has a lot of information to be given. He will give a demonstration, and he will be giving me some inputs on that washing machine, whether it is its brand, its price, how it is better than the competitor, and what are its features, the performance criteria, the performance parameters. So all that information that he is giving to me, I will listen carefully because I'm going to evaluate that information that he has given to me, and based upon that evaluation, I will decide whether I have to buy this product or not. Okay, that kind of listening is called as critical listening. Then you have empathetic listening. Now, before I tell you empathetic, there is also something called as sympathetic listening. Sympathetic listening is one where you try to listen to others because you feel sympathy towards others. You are showing sympathy towards others. So whatever that person is going through, you are trying to listen to that person because you are very sympathetic. You are showing the sympathy to him. So the person is sad. Okay. So you are being very sympathetic, and that is the reason you are listening to that person's whatever things he is saying. Then what is empathetic? In empathetic, it goes beyond sympathetic listening. That means in you are trying to empathize with that person. What do you mean by empathy? Empathy Empathy means you try to understand from other person's point of view or from other person's perspective. That means you try to enter into the shoes of the other person to understand him properly. So here if a person is sad, you are not only trying to be sympathetic, but you are also trying to understand his feelings and emotions. So here you are going one step beyond sympathy, where you are trying to understand his feelings and emotions, and for that you listen to that person. So whether it is sympathetic or whether it is empathetic, especially in empathetic listening, you make the other person speak more, and you tend to listen more from that person, so that you give the chance to other person to speak more, and you listen to them, of course, because this is listening. So here we we are taking from the others from the point of view that we are the listener and other person is speaking. So in empathetic, you are trying to go beyond being sympathetic, and you try to understand not only and that is the person is sad, but you also try to understand his feelings, his emotions, and you try to understand from his point of view. So that is empathetic listening. Appreciative listening. Listening is the one that usually you do to appreciate something. Basically you do appreciative listening to have a pleasure. For example, listening to music, right? We listen to the music because we get pleasure listening to that music, and we appreciate, we enjoy listening to that music. So appreciative listening is not to gain any information or any knowledge. Basically you enjoy listening to them, so you do that. So it's basically listening to the music or songs. That comes under appreciative listening. Then you have selective listening. Selective listening, as the term specifies, it is a type of listening where the person will select only certain phrases or certain words or certain sentences or certain part of the entire thing or the entire content that is being said. So a person is not interested to listen everything, but is interested to listen only a part of it. So you listen to only that part of it, and then you stop listening. So it's like you choose only a specific part of the entire content that is being spoken, and you listen to only that part of it. There can be various reasons for the selective listening. Maybe the person is not interested, but he got interested for that particular part of the content, maybe because he found it very, very funny and interesting, or maybe because the person does not have enough time and he wants only that particular part to listen. So whatever, there can be different reasons for the selective listening. Then you have pseudo listening. Pseudo, as the name specifies, pseudo means false, pseudo or fake. So pseudo means, pseudo listening is where the listener pretends that he is listening, but actually he is not listening. So when you have a class, or like I'm telling you my experience, like when we take a class, we have all different types of students. So some students, they listen to the class very well. Some students, they act as if they are listening, like they will nod their head, and they will try to write something, and they will show that they are listening, and they will be like um, making a face as if they're concentrating to whatever I'm saying. But then it is not always true. Some of the students, they only look at the person, but then they actually don't listen, but they just pretend that they are listening. So pseudo listening is where the person or the listener pretends that he is listening, but he is actually not listening. Okay, so that is the pseudo listening. So these are the different types of listening. Now, how to make listening effective? It is very easy to speak, but when it comes to listening, it's very tough than listening. But if you want to make the communication effective, you also should be a good listener. So there are different, barriers or different problems or factors which lead to, the problems in the listening, or there are different barriers to listening. So these barriers can be like, the person is not interested to listen to the speaker, or maybe the listener is having an attitude problem. He thinks, why should I listen to that person when I know everything? Or some people are, dogmatic people. They do not want to listen to anyone because they think whatever information I have is more than enough, and they have a closed brain. They don't accept any new information. They think they are the great people. So dogmatic people also do not like to listen. And some people have, the personal issues, like, if they have, say, you have a specific speaker, but you had, a kind of egoistic problem with that speaker, and you do not want to, listen to that. You have an ego problem with that speaker, so you do not want to listen to that speaker. And sometimes, the biggest problem of the listening is that we keep talking, and when you keep talking, how can you listen? You cannot pay attention to the listening or to the listener, and then you tend to miss the important information, right? So that is also one big problem. And one more reason problem, or one more barrier to listening, is that, we tend to prejudge the speaker. So we think, oh, the speaker does. We do not want to listen completely to the speaker, and we think, oh, this person is speaking some stupid thing, and I know, whatever I want to listen, he has not yet told. Or, you might think that, you know is not able to give a proper explanation for that particular topic. But then you should give time to the speaker and wait for him to finish his presentation. It's only then you can decide whether you got the complete information or not. So do not judge the speaker before. Give time to speaker and let the speaker end. And do not keep disturbing the speaker always unless it is really required. So in case if there is any important queries, you can wait for the speaker to complete, and then at the end you can have your queries, unless and until, you feel that this query has to be asked at very that moment. So these are, some of the barriers to listening, but these are not just the only barriers. There is in fact a very big, and you can keep adding to that list. So then there are different, you know ways to overcome these barriers, and those ways are nothing but the principles of the effective listening. So if you follow these principles of effective listening, some of these, principles can in fact help you to overcome those barriers to listening. So the first one is, as I said, stop talking, right? The very first principle is stop talking. In that I was telling about, if you want to listen to the speaker, the very first thing is that you stop talking, because only when you stop talking, you will be able to listen to the speaker. So if you keep talking, or if you keep commenting, then you will not be able to listen to what the speaker has to say. Other one is focus on the speaker. Right? You should focus on the speaker, in the sense, not focus on the physical appearance of the speaker, but focus on what content he has to put into your mind. Focus into whatever he is speaking. Try to listen to him properly. Concentrate on whatever information the speaker is trying to give. Then put the speaker at ease. So, do not try to, keep, asking the speakers different types of questions, in spite of the speaker giving you an answer. Still, again contradicting and asking him some other questions, and in a way trying to bully the speaker, or trying to put the speaker at, a difficult situation where you keep staring at the speaker, and even that makes the speaker in a very uncomfortable state, if the listener keeps staring at the speaker. That doesn't mean you should not look at the speaker. You should look at the speaker, because if you don't look at the speaker also, that's it shows that you are not interested to listen to the speaker. So you are supposed to look at the speaker, but you should not stare at the speaker. Looking at a person and staring at a person, these two are different things. So one should avoid staring at the speaker. Then remove distractions. So don't get distracted. Maybe there are people who are moving around, so you get distracted and you look at them. Or suddenly somebody's phone rings and you look at the back whose phone is ringing. Or somebody is talking over there and you get distracted. So avoid such kind of distraction and make sure that you are focusing and concentrating on whatever the information is given by the speaker. Then empathize in the sense, try to understand from the speaker's point of view. If he is giving you some information, and if he has you know uh, uh, if he has given some information about certain topic, and if you do not agree with that person, if you do not agree with the speaker, it might be possible that you might not agree on certain points with the speaker. But then that does not always means that the speaker is wrong. Maybe from his point of view he is right. So you have to try to understand from the speaker's point of view as well. Then be patient, right? Be patient in case the speaker, if you in case if you are expecting a certain point to be explained by the speaker, and the speaker has not yet started giving you that explanation, you need to be patient and wait. Maybe he will, as he moves ahead, he will be explaining that point. And you should not be impatient. Like for instance, if you have a question to be asked, you have to give time to the speaker to understand the question, and then think and then answer you. So sometimes some speakers, they give a pause in between, or maybe they are thinking, or they are trying to recollect some explanation or some example. So you need to be patient and give time to the speaker to come out with his points and to express and exhibit his points and his opinions. Then avoid personal prejudice. In the sense, don't be partial and biased towards the speaker, because the speaker is your friend. I mean, the speaker is, somebody with whom you have fought yesterday, and now that the speaker is like, you're not in good terms with the speaker. So just because you're not in good terms with the speaker does not mean that he becomes a bad speaker. So keep your personal prejudice aside and just look into what information he has to give to you. So you have to judge his content, but not the person. So do not judge the person, but just judge the content that he is delivering. And then listen to the tone. Sometimes, when we are talking, we give stress upon, certain words, because those words means lot of, that gives, lot of importance, or that is an important terminology. So listen to the tone of the person as well. Then listen for the ideas. So just don't listen. When we are saying listen to the speaker, does not means that you are only listening to the words. In the sense, do not just hear, but listen and give meanings to whatever he is saying. Try to understand what is the idea behind whatever, the words he has used, whatever phrases he has used. Try to understand the meaning and the idea behind the phrases and the words that he is using in the delivery of his messages. Then watch for non-verbal communication. As I said you, the body language, there is a lot that conveys. So try to understand sometimes between the line as well, which will help you to give more impactful meaning. Okay, so these are the types of listening, the barriers of listening, and how you can improve listening, and what the principles of listening are, which can make the listening more effective. Okay, then we move on to the next topic, which is reading. See, these are the the different parts of communication, where you have listening, speaking, reading, writing, right? So listening is your oral listening we are doing now, reading we are doing now. Okay, then writing, of course writing will be what you do in your exams, but then what you write and what is that, the business letters how you write, and the emails how you write and how you send, all those things will come under writing part, right? You write the letters, the emails and all. So that will be your reading, I mean your writing, this is a reading. Then listening and talking. Talking here is about the meetings, the presentations, the group discussions, all those come. So these are the four important parts of the communication: reading, writing, listening, speaking. Okay, so listening we are done with, and this is now let us study what this reading is all about. So reading is defined as a cognitive process that involves decoding symbols to arrive at meaning. So when we read, we are not just reading the words, but we are trying to decode, decoding symbols in the sense you are trying to attach meanings to the words that you are trying to study. In the sense you are trying to comprehend, you are trying to understand, and then you arrive at a meaning. So why is this reading done? Basically, this reading is done to improve your um, vocabulary. uh, Reading helps you to understand the language, right? So this reading helps you in fact um, to write also well, because you understand, it helps you to improve your vocabulary, your language. You learn different words, you get knowledge, right? You get knowledge when you read. So reading helps you to gain knowledge and improve your vocabulary and communication. So there are different types of reading. Loud reading is one, where you try to read aloud, where you try to read orally. Basically, when this is the beginning stage of reading, so all the children should be, taught to read aloud at the beginning stage. You must have seen that uh, in the schooling stage, when the children are in the small class, they are told to, read the books or read the lessons. That is because that helps to improve their language and their vocabulary. So reading helps the children to improve their vocabulary, and they learn different words, they learn new words. So here, um, as it says, loud reading, there is very little reading done in English. Part of difficulty is that English is a foreign language, but the chief difficulty is found in the fact that pupils are not taught to read aloud properly in their mother tongue. So because uh, usually we don't do that, but if it is, if that is how nowadays the schools are starting with this reading. So this reading will help you to pronounce the words properly. This will help you to learn the spoken English, whether whatever English, in the sense if you are reading English. So it is not just with the English, whichever language you do the reading, it helps you to learn that language, to learn that spoken language, right? If you learn Hindi language, Hindi book, you will learn to speak, you will learn spoken Hindi. If you learn Telugu, you learn spoken Telugu. So basically, reading aloud helps you to mainly pronounce. It helps you mainly to pronounce the words properly, and it helps you to speak that language. Then you have silent reading. The next stage of reading is silent reading. So you see, as I told you that the 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 uh, loud reading is done in the early stages of the schooling, where because they are supposed to learn how to speak that language, and they are supposed to learn the pronunciation. But as they come to the higher classes, then they are told to do the silent reading. So silent reading is done inside the mind of a person. So, where the mind gets engaged and you read inside your mind. So, this helps you, to become fluent in reading. So, basically, when you have already learned the pronunciation and when you know the language, then you do the silent reading. So, as this person says, Morrison, that loud reading by students should be followed by the silent reading. So, once you are done with the loud reading and you know the language and the words and the pronunciation, then you can go with the silent reading. Silent reading usually will be faster than the loud reading, because we the action the actions usually will be slower than our thoughts will be very fast. So when we are reading in the mind, right? When we do the silent reading, we read in the mind, so we read faster than we actually read aloud, because when you are reading aloud, you are making use of your tongue and you are trying to pronounce the words, so that takes time to read when compared to the silent reading. Then you have intensive reading. Intensive reading is a detailed study or a detailed reading. So, when you are trying to read something and when you want to have detailed information about something, so then you do an intensive or an in depth study of that topic. Then it is called as an intensive reading. So, usually we do an intensive reading, in uh, um, in schools or in colleges, when we really want to learn something, there we try to get some detailed information, then we do the intensive reading. Then you have extensive reading. Extensive reading is beyond intensive, where a person tries to study, where you have a mentoring. That means you will have a mentor over there or a supervisor. The supervisor is only there to supervise you or guide you, but he is not helping you to read. So when a person does reading, which is independent kind of reading, that is called as extensive reading. So when it comes to intensive reading, here you will have a mentor who will try to help you to do the reading. So they will try to help you to get detailed information, and they will help you to get study something in detail. But when it comes to extensive reading, there the candidate or the student himself is doing a study, which is an independent kind of reading. For example, when you read the novels, you are reading the novels for your own pleasure, right? So that comes under the extensive reading. So here you are not trying to study something in detail. Okay, try to understand. In intensive reading, you are trying to study something in detail, but in extensive reading, you are studying more. The length of papers or pages or sentences that you are learning is more, but it is not intensive or it is not in depth. It's just that you are studying more. For example, like a novel, the number of pages are more, you are doing an extensive reading. But when it comes to intensive reading, you might have the same number of pages as in extensive reading, but here it is about a specific topic for which you try to study in detail. So extensive is usually for the pleasure, like you are reading some discourse, or you are reading some novels or some stories. So there are mainly two types of skills that is required for reading. So these are reading speed and comprehension. So reading speed and comprehension are two such skills which are required for improving your reading. So what is this reading speed? Reading speed is how many, the rate at which you read, or the number of words you speak in a particular time. Okay, that is the reading speed. So there are different ways of uh, different techniques which are used in the reading speed. First one is the scanning. So what happens in the scanning is that you read a certain thing because you are trying to search for some particular information. That means you are trying to scan for some particular topic. For example, you know, um, I am doing statistics, and I'm just trying to find there. I'm trying to see if there are different types of sampling methods, but I am trying to look for I'm trying to look for like I'm trying to study about statistics and trying to look for how the sample size is whether the sample size will have an impact on the sampling error or not. So I am trying to read the introduction to the statistics, and I'm trying to search for that particular point which will give me an information whether the sample size will have an impact on the sampling error or not. So I will just go through entire information and I will try to not read all that information in detail, just trying to do an superficial reading till I come to a point where I want my information, where I find my information. So when I come to that information or that point where which I wanted, then I will slow down there and that I will study properly. So I'm scanning the entire introduction of that statistics to find out where that point or that particular topic is lying down. Okay, so scanning is a process where you are trying to go through the entire stuff overall, so that to look for a particular kind of information that you are looking for. That is scanning. Then skimming. Skimming is um, skimming is where you are trying to go through the entire information to get an overall view, to get an overall view of that entire information. That means what is the central idea or what is the theme of that entire information. So to know that, I will go through the entire information or I will skim. So it again, people just try to try to get a summary. So you study in such a way that you try to get a summary of the entire thing. You are trying to get the central idea of what that entire information is about. Okay. Next is the careful reading. What is this careful reading? Careful reading is one, where you take an initiative and you want to study that particular topic properly. So because you, and in careful reading, the number of words you read, usually, you tend to read 50 to 300 words in a minute, maybe around 100 to 300 words in a minute. So you are trying to read very carefully, okay, each and every word, and trying to understand that. So you generally try to do careful reading, when you want to understand a particular topic properly, or when you are trying to, when you find the complexity in those words or in those information, and so you are trying to read and understand those information properly. Okay. The next kind is uh, rapid reading. Rapid reading is a kind of reading where the reader will read very fast, mostly usually more than 350 words, maybe 350 words to 500 words or 600 words in a minute. So there the reader tries to read very quickly. So again, there might be different reason why the reader is trying to read very quickly. Maybe some people are blessed to read quickly, some people just want to skim the entire information to get the central idea, or might be the person is reading quickly because he is scanning and searching for a particular information, right? It can be anything. But in rapid reading, the reader will try to read very fast, maybe 350 to 500 words in a minute. Then the second skill of reading is comprehension. What do you mean by comprehension? Comprehension means to comprehend, to understand. So after all, you are reading to gain knowledge, right? Of course, we try to learn our spoken language, or we try to improve our vocabulary, and also, but at the same time, we try to gain knowledge, and we try. And how can you gain the knowledge? You can gain the knowledge only when you are able to comprehend. Only when you are able to. Hello, hello. Is there anything anybody wants to ask me? Okay, I'll continue. So, to gain the knowledge, we need to comprehend and we need to understand, right? Whatever we are trying to read. So, when we are able to understand and we are able to comprehend whatever meaning we get through reading, then we are able to understand the vocabulary. This helps to improve our vocabulary, and this helps us, and for understanding or for comprehending whatever we are trying to study or whatever we are trying to read, we need to the decode the messages. What does that mean? We have studied this in the very first class. Decoding means giving the meanings, giving the meanings to the words. And only when you are able to give the meanings to the word, you will be, after understanding, you will be able to draw the inferences from whatever you have understood from the context. Okay. And retention means you are able to retain. How can you retain? When you are able to memorize those content that you have read. Again, as I said you, the retention varies from person to person. Okay, so this is about reading. Then let us move on to, okay, we also have communication styles. Okay, so communication styles is the way a person behaves, while communicating. Um, the pattern of it's the pattern of communication that we observe in any person. The way he, the kind of the kind of behavior, the kind of action you can experience in um, in the communication of a person. That is what is the communication style. So there are different types of communication style. um, you have this controlling style. Okay, controlling style is a type of communication where the communicator tries to control the listener. Okay, here the communicator is communicating to the listener because he wants to control them. So basically, he is communicating because he wants to control the listener. So usually, this kind of style is used in the organization by the boss or by the supervisor or by the superior who communicates with the subordinates to control them. So, usually, in this kind of communication, the communicator does not expect any kind of feedback. This is also called as a dominating style of communication because the, the communicator does not want any kind of feedback from the receiver. So he is giving the information, he is giving an order, and he expects the employees to just listen. So usually this kind of style you can use, you can see, when you have the rules and regulations or the policies of the organizations, right? So there the management decides and it communicates with the employees, and the employees are need to follow. They have no way to give feedback and they cannot even question the management regarding those policies. And this controlling style of feedback is also used during the emergency situations. Also, when the employees are not skilled enough, and they need to be, and they are very or you have an employee who always go against their bosses, and they are kind of who are into insubordination. So for those kind of employees also controlling style is used. Then you have structuring style. Structuring style is one where uh, everything, the communication is in a systematic way. That means when the communicator wants the employees or the listener or the receivers to follow a specific system, and he wants a uniformity. He wants a uniformity, and he wants a standardization. Then he uses structuring style of communication. For example, making the schedules, that comes under structuring styles of communication. Then you have dynamic style. Dynamic style is one where the communicator is very, very brief. He is to the point. He does not like to exaggerate the thing. So he uses this kind of communication because he is a very busy person, and he it's something where he just expects the receivers to understand and follow the instructions. Okay, that comes under dynamic style. Then you have equatorial style or egalitarian style. Equatorial or egalitarian style is a kind of communication where the speaker has information to communicate. At the same time, speaker believes that there should be exchange of information. So he motivates the employees to exchange the information or give the feedback and give the suggestions. So if you take from the organization point of view, equatorial or egalitarian style of communication is the best style of communication, where if you take the from the leader point of view, the leader is such a leader who expects, the exchange of information from his end also, and from his teammates also, and he believes that the employees or his teammates also have enough knowledge, and their suggestions and their advices should also be taken into consideration. So they believe that more brains are will have an effective output. Then you have relinquish style. Relinquish style of communication is one wherein the communicator does not want to communicate much. In fact, the he gives the opportunity to his employees to communicate. He gives the responsibility to his employees, and this kind of style is very much motivating for the employees, because the employees feel motivated, because they are given the opportunity, they are given the decision making authority, they have the freedom to take decisions. But this style is applicable only if the subordinates are skilled enough to carry on the responsibility themselves. If not, then it becomes a chaos. Then you have the withdrawal style. In withdrawal style, the communicator basically withdraw from the communication. He avoids. This is also called as an avoidance style, where the communicator does not want to communicate. He avoids coming into any entering into any sort of communication. So basically, either the communicator is not competent enough, he is not talented enough, so he is trying to avoid getting into any conversation, or maybe he does not want to disclose any information. That is the reason he is trying to avoid the communication. For example, if they have some important confidential information which should not be disclosed, so they will just avoid, and they will not enter into the communication. So these are the different styles of communication. Okay, then these are the models of interpersonal communication that we will start in the next class, because that takes time. So any doubts so far?
Ma'am, are the styles of communication part of oral communication at work?
Mostly oral communication will be involved, but it can be even written communication. But usually, mostly this is oral communication.
Okay.
Because when we say style, this talks about the action, the behavior of the person as well, because his actions and behaviors are also depicted through his styles, right? For example, if you take the controlling style, so his behavior will be as such, where he will make use of his authority, he will make use of his power to communicate to his employees. So usually this is an oral part of oral communication. Any other doubts? See, once all the classes are over, I will share the PPT also with you if it is required. Um, Maybe one of the I have anyway shared my um, phone number and email ID with you. So anytime you have any doubts or any information or any further information you require, or any further detailed notes you required, you can very well contact me. I will try to help you wherever it is possible. I think no more doubts. So shall we stop for the day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay then. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, Excuse me, sir, is there anyone?